My name is Matt Riordian.
And are you a veteran?
Yes, I was in the Army for 4 years. Extended for 6 months, so I guess it's 4.5 years. So I had a 19-kilo tanker. Went all over the place and made the rank of E5.
Were you in either Afghanistan or Iraq or any of those other hostile
I
places?
was in Kuwait, not Iraq. It was before that. So Kuwait, Bosnia, and Korea.
And while you were in, were you gay?
No. Nope.
Are you a straight ally?
I am a straight ally. I did know gay soldiers when I was in the Army, and it didn't seem to affect their performance at all. Generally, when you're in a pretty hot situation and there's, things going down, grenades flying and stuff like that, really the last thing that is anybody's thinking about is what somebody's sexual preference is.
Gays will hurt unit cohesion. Do you buy that for even half a second?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's no different than when the Army was integrated initially fully with, not just but African Americans, but Hispanics and everyone. I mean, now the whole thing they say, the only color we have is green. Well, I mean, what you do when you're not working has nothing to do with how you perform as a GI. It really doesn't.
As an ally and a military veteran who has real military experience, are you trying to get Don't Ask, Don't Tell repealed now, and why?
Yes. I really just think it has no bearing on how well someone can execute military operations. It really doesn't. Because we have married couples that are in the Army, and some of them are in the same units, and they don't even have time to have sex when they're doing operations. So your preference on who you like to have sex with has no bearing on how well a job you can do in any position in the Army.
Now, some folks in the military believe that being gay is a choice and that you can spread it virally like a disease. What do you think about that theory?
Well, obviously they're not very well educated if they think that. Public school systems are doing great. I think it's silly. Obviously, people may not know that it's not a choice. I've grown up with people that, as we, grew up and got older, they came out and said that they were gay. But you kind of always knew a little bit, some people you don't, but some people you do. There's just no telling, but really I don't think it's a choice. You can't help who you love. No, you can't catch the gay. That doesn't happen. It can't be.
So basically you think people are born whatever they're born?
Yeah, I totally do.
And so then, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, does it do more harm than good to unit cohesion?
Oh, it definitely does more harm. People are scared that they're going to get caught, that it's going to be found out. And these are people that are stellar soldiers. I've watched people that were fast tracking, doing really well, and I knew one guy that was he was already promotable, had already passed his E5 board, and was kicked out under Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Well, last year, August Provost, a seaman who was stationed at Camp Pendleton, who had only been in the military 1 year, was a stellar performer, and he was gay, and he was murdered. And it came out after he was murdered that during the only year he was in the military, he was harassed constantly, and you were an E5.
Yeah.
And as an E5, you normally have E3s under you that you were there to lead and to help.
Sure.
This poor man could not go to somebody like you, an E5 who would have helped him to prevent this intimidation and harassment. How does it make you feel to know that there are E3s out there that people like you at an E5 level cannot help because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
That's one thing that's what I think is really ridiculous about it, because if it was an issue of race or language barrier or religious belief, anything like that, you can go talk. There's people for that. You can go talk to your NCOs or your officers about these kind of problems and get those things worked out. And since you're not allowed to admit that you're gay, it's impossible to tell people that you're being harassed for being gay and still keep your job in the military. So.
And the fact that after Seaman August Provost was murdered, that nobody who harassed him or intimidated him was punished in any way when they know that this happened. How does that make you feel?
That's the worst part about it. It's a blatant hate crime, and you should always prosecute people for crimes in general, but especially, I mean, a crime that's, I mean, what's the difference in that and killing somebody because they're black? I mean, it's essentially a lynching. It's just a different way.
Well, the military claims that the person who killed him, who was in his same unit, was a drug addict and didn't really know what he was doing, and then this drug addict apparently committed suicide by stuffing toilet paper in all the places he could breathe, and death by toilet paper. Does that sound like an unusual way of suicide to you in the military environment where you're under videotape surveillance for suicide watch?
Yeah, it does. I've never heard of that happening ever.
And same unit as Seaman August Provost, what would be the first thought that comes to your mind?
I mean, that's odd. It definitely sounds like something funny's going on. It definitely sounds like some sort of setup. I mean, who stuffs toilet paper? I don't know if you can even stuff enough toilet paper down your throat to die before you just pass out or just start puking everywhere. I don't know. That just seems really hard to do. I would definitely say it should be open for a thorough investigation.
So the military apparently had sent down at least 20 people to investigate this, and they concluded that the man who committed suicide by toilet paper while under military surveillance with video camera was the perpetrator of the crime, and it had nothing to do with the fact that August Provost in his same unit was gay and tormented because he was gay. Do you really think that's a logical conclusion?
No, I don't.
As a straight ally, I know other straight allies that are veterans have observed gays being tormented in the military, and it really hurt them emotionally. They felt really upset about it. Did you ever see anybody being mistreated?
I never saw anybody be mistreated. I heard about it a couple of times. I never saw anybody mistreated for it. We have one guy that did actually get promoted to E5. And people suspected he was gay, but nobody ever did anything.
Defense has diversity events, and in those diversity events, they teach about different groups like African American history, Hispanic history, Asian Pacific history. They teach about the disabled, and they include both civilian, military, and contractors that are at those bases at these events so that they'll learn not to discriminate against those groups. Do you ever wonder why they don't have the same thing for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender groups?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that definitely should be. Especially in groups that are, private contractors that are not part of the military. Obviously, they're allowed to hire gay, lesbian, transgender. They're allowed. They don't have a don't ask, don't tell policy because it's not legal for them to do that. It's discrimination. So. Especially if they're attending those events, they should be doing it. But don't ask, don't tell should be repealed, so they should be doing it at all military.
If they had such a diversity event, do you think Seaman August Provost would have gotten harassed the way he was if his fellow military service members would have been taught that it's wrong to be mean to gay people?
I think it would definitely reduce the amount of, it would definitely reduce the chance that you have of that happening greatly. There's always a bad apple somewhere that wants to hate somebody for something, but, the more people that are educated about this, then obviously the more tolerance and the more understanding you'll have, and the less chances of something like that happening you'll have as well.
If you could advise the President and the Secretary of Defense about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, what would you tell them?
I would say that they should repeal it, and they should actually have mandatory classes for every company in the Army or military rather. All branches of the military. They should be educating people on understanding and tolerance and how we do have to work together and how what you do with your life and when you're not a soldier and when you're not being when you're not, it doesn't have any bearing on how well you can fight for our country at all. And nobody's at risk because they're working with a gay person.